Spirit speaking, here's a few moments I like to call the Cosmic Giggles. You know, those situations in life that all of us have had, where something happens that just ticks you off. And later a light bulb goes off in your head, when you suddenly realize that while you were busy doing damage control in the 3D, the universe may have been quietly running the bigger picture. And when that bulb is finally lit, sometimes the whole thing turns out to have been nothing short of a one-act comedy show. This is what happens when we skip the check-in. So there you are, just trying to get somewhere. Nothing dramatic. You're not looking to have a life lesson. You're not trying to have a spiritual awakening at a traffic light. And you are not asking the universe to reveal the deeper meaning of patience through a left turn lane. You're simply trying to get from point A to point B. That's it. You get in the car with just enough confidence to believe this is going to be a normal human experience. You've got your drink, you have your purse, you've got your sunglasses, and you have the music on. You feel prepared. And 5 minutes into the drive, you see it. Ugh, traffic. Not gentle traffic, not a few cars moving a little slowly. No, this is the kind of traffic that makes your soul quietly slide out of your body and sit in the passenger seat like, I'm just going to have to observe this from a safe distance. Spirit gently whispers, take a breath. Maybe this delay is protecting you. And that's when ego kicks the door open with a headset and a clipboard. All right, nobody move. Traffic is now a personal emergency. And suddenly, this is not a drive anymore. This is a mission. Ego starts scanning the road like it's been personally hired by the Department of Human Urgency. Estimated delay. Emotionally unacceptable. Current route, disrespectful. Patience levels, dangerously low. Spirit says, stay where you are. Ego says that's exactly what traffic wants us to do. So now you're looking at the GPS like it's withholding information from you. The GPS says, stay on current route. And you look at it like, you don't know me. Because apparently in this moment, you're not just a driver. You're a road strategist, a traffic visionary, a chosen one with sunglasses and mild impatience, who is about to discover a route no other human has ever considered, even though every other person also has GPS, the same red line on the map, and access to basic reasoning. Then you see it, a little side street. Ooh, tiny, innocent, sitting there like a secret passage in a video game. Your whole nervous system lights up. There, that's it, that's the way. Spirit whispers, maybe not. Ego leans into the headset, turn right, and you do. For the first 12 seconds, you feel brilliant. You're flowing, you're adapting, you're trusting your instincts. You're basically a spiritual navigation expert. Meanwhile, Spirit's sitting quietly in the back seat like this was not intuition. This was impatience with a steering wheel. But you don't hear that because you're too busy congratulating yourself. Then the road changes. Suddenly, it's not the cute little shortcut it looked like on the map. This road has a past. It's narrow, bumpy, there are potholes that look personal, there's one orange cone lying on its side like it gave up years ago, and there's a man walking a dog who looks at you like you don't belong here, which is rude, because technically you don't, but still. Then the GPS starts recalculating. That word alone, recalculating. Nothing humbles a human faster than a GPS saying recalculating in that calm little voice while your life is actively becoming a cautionary tale. Because GPS never sounds stressed. You could be driving directly into a lake and it would still say, proceed to the route. No emergency, no emotion, just calm betrayal. Meanwhile, you're gripping the steering wheel like you're landing a plane. Ego says, stay focused, this is still faster. Spirit says, is it? Ego says, we don't need that tone. Then you hit a stop sign. Fine. Then another stop sign. Okay. Then another one. Now you're stopping every 17 feet, waving awkwardly at pedestrians, letting someone reverse out of the driveway, waiting behind a delivery truck, and somehow, you're now behind a school bus. A school bus on the shortcut. For the first time, ego goes quiet, because even ego knows this is not going well. But instead of admitting it, ego doubles down. This is fine. This is advanced navigation. Spirit says you were supposed to stay on the main road. Ego says the main road was for people without vision, and you are now in a neighborhood you have never seen before. Every street curves into another street. Every turn looks familiar, but somehow isn't. There are children and bikes and driveways. There's a garage sale sign from 3 weeks ago. There's one house with 12 garden gnomes, and now you're wondering if this is how the universe marks spiritual consequences. You say out loud, "Oh, where am I? Where even am I?" Ego answers, "Exploring." No, beloved, you are lost. There is a difference between exploring and being trapped in a subdivision with no emotional exit plan. Then the GPS says, make a U-turn. A U-turn on this tiny street? In front of the man with the dog who already judged you once. Absolutely not. Now pride gets involved. Spirit says, turn around. Ego says, we don't turn around. We reroute with dignity. Spirit continues and gives a simple direction. Pause. Wait. Turn around. Stay where you are. Don't force it. And Ego says, interesting. But what if we make this much harder and then we call it growth? So you keep driving deeper into the detour. The road gets narrower. The GPS gets more confused. You start leaning forward while you drive as if your upper body can somehow improve the signal. You pass the same blue recycling bin twice. Or maybe it was a different blue recycling bin. You don't even know anymore. You're no longer a person driving a car. You're a woman in a spiritual maze created entirely by impatience. And then it happens. Construction. Of course. Because there's always construction in the spiritual detour. A big sign appears. Road closed. You just stare at it. Not blinking. Not speaking. Just staring. Because somewhere deep inside you know this is not just a road closure. This is Spirit standing in the middle of the street wearing a reflective vest saying, "Are we listening now?" Ego clears its throat. Maybe we can go around it. Spirit says, there is a literal sign. Ego says, signs are open to interpretation. No, they are not. When a sign says road closed, that is not a metaphor you need to journal about. This is a road being closed. But humans love to do this. Spirit gives us a delay. We call it inconvenience. Spirit gives us resistance. We call it unfair. Spirit gives us orange barrels, caution tape, and a person in a hard hat pointing the other way, and we say, I wonder what this means. It means turn around, beloved. So finally you make the U-turn, but not gracefully. No, this is a 7-point emotional U-turn. You inch forward. You reverse. You check the mirrors. You apologize to nobody. You pretend you meant to do this all along. And then, of course, the man with the dog is back. He sees you, and you see him. There's a moment, not a long moment, but enough of a moment. And in that moment, you know that he knows. He knows you tried to outsmart traffic and lost. Now you're backtracking through the neighborhood, and the GPS has the nerve to say, return to the original route. The original route? The route Spirit suggested before Ego launched a tactical operation? So you get back to the main road, and guess what? The traffic is moving. Of course it is. The cars are flowing, the road is clear, everything is fine. And you realize you did not save 5 minutes. You added 18 minutes, 3 emotional chapters, 1 unnecessary tour of a subdivision, and a full confrontation with your control issues, all because you refused to sit still in a delay. And isn't that just humanity? We say, Spirit, guide me, but the moment guidance looks like waiting, we start looking for a side street. We say, I trust divine timing, but the second divine timing slows down, we start tapping the steering wheel like the universe has personally disrespected our schedule. We say, I surrender, but only if surrender comes with real-time updates, an estimated arrival time, and no inconvenience to our plans. And Spirit is patient. Spirit does not yell. Spirit does not shame you. Spirit does not say, I told you so. Spirit lets you take the shortcut, lets you meet the stop signs, lets you find the construction, lets you circle the garden gnome house twice, lets you experience the sacred consequences of unconsulted ego navigation. And then, when you finally come back to yourself, Spirit is still there. Calm, steady, smiling. Because the lesson was never really about traffic. It was all about trust. All about the parts of us that panic when life slows down. The part of us that thinks a delay means something is wrong. And the part of us that would rather exhaust itself forcing movement than sit quietly in divine redirection. Sometimes the delay is protection. Sometimes the pause is alignment. Sometimes the route that looks slower is actually the one saving you from the unnecessary chaos. And sometimes Spirit is not blocking you. Spirit is simply saying, "Beloved, stop making a shortcut out of fear." So finally, you take a breath, your shoulders drop, you look around at the traffic moving peacefully, and none of this needed to happen. You let out that little laugh, just the kind of laugh that says, "I see." And when you realize you didn't check in with Spirit, that's when Spirit gives you the cosmic wink.